Hi there, Michelle Taylor LPCC, doing another video today on having a relationship with yourself. I know I'm a couples counselor and I do Gottman work with the couples that I work with. And Gottmans are great because they have studied so many couples, so many relationships, and they are able to, within 30 minutes of meeting the couple and hearing them interact with each other, they're able to determine if the couple is going to stay together or break up, and they have 90% accuracy in knowing that. So the tools that they have found that are in effective couples are very effective. I hate to use the same word twice, but they have found that, you know, couples that work aren't necessarily couples that don't fight. They're couples that recognize that they're fighting, can stop themselves, and then repair quicker. And couples that don't are the ones that end up failing. So I'm doing this video not for couples work in particular, but I have found that in doing Gottman work with couples, that a lot of their work can be used in individual work. And this is a new concept, I think. I haven't found really anybody that's kind of pulled these two together. I don't know, maybe I just don't look online enough, but kind of feel like I did it myself. But I use Gottman work with individuals. And the way that I can conceptualize doing that with individuals is to imagine that you have the gremlins in your mind, and then you have it's like the good and the bad, the angel and the devil. You have these two selves inside of you. You have the one that wants to do the right thing and the one that criticizes you all the time. So those gremlins inside of your head, the thing that causes low self-esteem. And so really quickly, if you can just conceptualize that you have this two self inside of you, you have two selves. You're in a relationship with yourself at all times. And I do a lot of self-esteem work, a lot of confidence work with people. And at the root of it, you're trying to do couples work inside of your mind, which sounds weird, but it's true. You are constantly fighting with your gremlins, and your gremlins are constantly fighting with you. So you're in this relationship with your gremlins in your head. And what I found is the really effective work that the Gottmans do in couples is the same exact work that I find that you can do with individuals. And I would assume that if those same skills in couples that they can determine whether they're going to break up or not, they would be able to do within yourself of whether you're going to have depression, anxiety, low self-esteem if you don't repair quick, you know. And that's really what the bottom line is. Can you identify when you're criticizing, when the gremlins are criticizing, and then can you stop that from happening quicker and repair it quicker? So that's the first step, is recognizing that you have this inner relationship. And then the second step, and ultimately this is going to help you feel good about yourself. This is the confidence piece. And, you know, I run self-esteem groups too that have the same skills that are involved in this, but I really, really wanted to do this video today on this stuff because it's cool and I love it. Anyways, the Gottmans have what's called the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse in relationship work. And these Four Horsemen are the things that they have identified that are relationship killers. And I've been over them before in previous videos, but I'm going to go over them really quick here. You can check out the other videos for them in depth. But criticism is the first one. Defensiveness is the second one. Contempt is the third one. And stonewalling is the fourth one. So if we look at it with a relationship, criticism happens often with relationships. You didn't do the dishes. You're not meeting my needs. You didn't have sex with me. You didn't do the lawn. You don't come home early enough to hang out with the kids. You didn't take care of the kids. So all these criticisms come out, which then leads to number two, which is defensiveness. So the other person, instead of hearing the feeling behind that message, that criticism, they get defensive and they start defending themselves of why they have or have not done those things. And they're not hearing each other. They just keep defending themselves. So the problem exacerbates, which then leads to the third thing. Over time, you get contempt. And contempt looks like, God, he's such an idiot, or God, she's so naggy, oh, she doesn't love me. She just cares about herself, or he is always too busy for us, right? That's contempt. And that is a repeated thing that occurs over time, where you feel this just negative, overall, all or nothing, black and white sense of despair and hate. Like, it's just awful. Contempt is a deep rooted thing. So that's the third thing. And then the fourth thing is stonewalling. And once you get to stonewalling, you are literally biologically flooded. And what that means is your heart rate is above 100, your amygdala in your brain is overworked, you're in fight, flight, or freeze mode. Some people flee and some people avoid, or some people fight, and what that looks like is they'll fight in a relationship, and some people freeze. And when you're flooded and you're stonewalled, you're not able to do any work together. You can't do anything. And the way to get yourself unflooded is you have to take a time out, go for a walk, do whatever you need to do self-care wise to get yourself to a place where you're not in your amygdala anymore. So that was way fast about Gottman work and the Four Horsemen, but pulling it back on ourselves and that idea that I have that you have this relationship with your gremlins. I'm going to give you some little anecdotes to start practicing so that you can have a better relationship with yourself. So the first thing is criticism. Your gremlins are constantly criticizing you. You're not good enough. You didn't show up for this thing. You are lazy. You are not working out. All these things that it tells you all the time, and you consider it like kind of like guilt. Those are messages. Those are criticisms, little criticisms that your gremlins are telling you. And you're in a relationship with those gremlins, and you get defensive, and you start going, you either believe them and you go, yeah, I do suck. Yeah, I am lazy. Yeah. And you just get self-defeated, which leads to low self-esteem. Or let's say you try to fight them, which is exhausting, and you're like, no, I don't. I did this earlier. No, I didn't. I am not lazy. Or I do have friends, and you're using all these positive affirmations to fight those gremlins. Then the gremlins come back with other criticisms to make you feel like you're not even getting anywhere instead of hearing each other. So then your gremlins have contempt for you. Oh, you're just a lazy ass, or you're this, or you're that. And you just start feeling overwhelmed. Well, then stonewalling comes in. Stonewalling is you're so flooded about the state of your being that you can't even process anything anymore, and you just give up. And that's where depression and anxiety kind of make you freeze, and you can't do anything anymore, which you need to do self-care in order to get unfrozen. So you get out of your head, get out of your gremlin thoughts, go for a walk, do something to get out of your thoughts. And that takes practice too. So what I'm going to give you in this video is a very important tool that you must practice in order to start working on your relationship with your gremlins. Your gremlins actually say things that have some truth to it, unfortunately. Although they're very mean about it, there might be some truth to what they're saying. Maybe they're telling you that you need to do better. Or maybe they're telling you that you're not, you should step up a little bit more. If you give them something like, okay, I hear what you're saying, you're upset that blah, 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 blah. You go through that whole conversation with your gremlins. That's one way. But what the Gottman say is the anecdote to criticism is what's called a gentle startup. And in couples, what this looks like is your partner tells you, you didn't do the dishes last night. That's a criticism, which then makes the person defensive. So instead of saying you didn't do the dishes last night, you use what's called a gentle startup. So you say an I feel statement. It's very hippie, very fluffy, but it's effective. So here it goes. You say, I feel blank. So pick an emotional word. Go on the emotional wheel chart on Google. Pick some emotional word that really is the root of this problem. I feel overwhelmed. Then the next step is when this is happening. You don't say you never say you, that makes the person defensive. You say when this situation happens. So what that situation is with the dishes is I feel overwhelmed when the dishes are not done. Then the person, instead of feeling attacked and focusing on defending themselves, they're able to see the problem, which is the dishes are not done. They're able to empathize with the person feeling overwhelmed, and then they go, oh, well, let's get the dishes done. And it's a repair immediately. You don't go through that whole criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling because you're not calling each other names, you're not criticizing each other. You're actually focusing on the problem and the feeling. So what that looks like with yourself is instead of saying, the gremlins are saying, criticizing you all the time, you're not doing enough. You didn't work out today. You're lazy. So the gentle startup for that would be, and what that looks like inside of your mind would be to tell the gremlins, hey, that feels a little harsh. Can you just use a gentle startup? Which is cool because it's all in your mind. You can control your gremlins to say something different, but you just have to talk to them. I know it sounds weird, but you just do. You have to talk to them and say, hey, that felt a little harsh. I do want to help you out here, but I want you to say it differently. So in your mind, you restructure it to a gentle startup. Like, I feel disheartened. I feel out of shape. I feel overwhelmed. You can look at all those feeling words when my body doesn't move and get energy out. So then you're focusing on the problem of the body not getting the energy out and the feeling, rather than them calling you lazy or calling you out on not working out. So then you can work on the problem. And so gentle startups are really important for yourself, for your partners, for any relationship, even in work, with your kids. Gentle startups are important. So just as a recap, a gentle startup is, I feel blank when this happens. Don't use a you. Don't make it anything about the person. Make it about the situation at hand. And then the next step is for defensiveness. When you're on the receiving end of a criticism that is said wrong, to, instead of respond defensively, to give them the benefit of the doubt that they just didn't mean to hurt you. They just didn't say it in the right way. And that takes practice too. It's easy to be defensive and not give them the benefit of the doubt. It is difficult to give them the benefit of the doubt. They would have done better if they knew better. So, lots of information today. I think I probably would have spent 5 or 6 sessions trying to explain that or trying to practice that with people, but here you have it in 12 minutes. So I hope you stuck through and listened to it all. It's really fascinating. I love this stuff, and if you have any more questions, feel free to DM me or reach out. All right, thanks.